We're rocking. Nice.
All right, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of the MulletCast, the podcast where business and pleasure collide. My name is Evan Balmer.
What's going on? It's Mike Marcio.
What's happening, Mike?
Same old.
Sweet. Today we are joined by Aaron Levine of the LG Insurance Agency. Check out them on Instagram at Luxury Group INS for Luxury Group Insurance, and the Aaron Levine, which is AARON LEVINE, and on Facebook check out LG Insurance Inc. What's going on, Aaron?
Hey, Evan. Thanks so much for having me today.
No
It's
problem.
great to be here.
Thank
What's
you for
going on?
coming in.
How's everything?
Awesome. It's a great
Sweet.
day. It's like a spring day outside today.
It is.
It's going to be 60, right?
It's insane.
I
It
love
is
that.
insane.
Roof off, maybe, the Jeep?
Oh, that might be a good call, man. Totally. It's funny because people will listen to this in a couple of weeks. It'll be like -10. They'll be like, "What are these guys talking about?"
Yeah, are we allowed to talk about what date it is? And like it's February and supposed to be snowing and cold. But
Yeah, totally.
People are on the golf course when I'm driving over here.
Yeah.
It is insane.
It's nice.
Yeah, we're like post Super Bowl, all that good stuff. What'd you do for the Super Bowl?
Nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. I fed my kids and put them to bed.
Right.
And by halftime they were asleep, and I think I fell asleep around the third quarter.
Nice.
So I had to fight with my 3.5-year-old, whether we were watching Bug Life or the Super Bowl, and I kind of had two TVs going on at
Right.
the same time to
That's funny.
try to appease her, but yet do what I want to do for a couple hours.
Totally. So it's funny is I have a 4-year-old and a 2-year-old. And I had them all hyped up like all day long that it's the Super Bowl, right? So it's like, are you guys ready for the Super Bowl? It's like Super Bowl today. We're going to watch Super Bowl. They're all excited. About a minute in, they realize the Super Bowl is just a football game. Like,
It's something, yeah.
There's nothing exciting going on here. So they were like, out. So it is fun.
Jackson, my 3.5-year-old, didn't nap, so he was a complete mess
Right.
around dinner time. And then our 1-year-old's teething, so we tried to eat dinner in the living room, and we made like Philly cheesesteak sliders. No, they were. My wife
Made
was
some of
passed
those
out on
too.
the sofa by halftime.
Right.
Yeah.
It's funny, man. All right. So your background is you were a marketing management major at Syracuse. The Cuse.
The Q's. I
How
mean, that's
is,
a big title for 4 years of having a good time.
I know a lot of people did that up there. So, how was Syracuse when you were there? Were you there during any good basketball moments or anything?
So I was there. My freshman year was Donovan McNabb's senior year.
Oh, no way.
So that's the year we went to the Orange Bowl.
Wow.
So we had great football when I got there, and the year after I graduated is when we won the basketball national championship.
Gotcha.
I'm like, why wasn't I a fifth year? Like, this is terrible.
Right.
Yeah.
So back home trying to work and drink and go to work and drink and go to work, and everybody else is having fun at school again. I'm like, But
It's not cool.
at the end of the day, now that we're almost 20 years later, it's like, all right, I made the right decision.
Right. Yeah, that's true. So then you went on to get your MBA at Monmouth.
Yeah,
Right.
that was it was time to go back to school and find myself, so to speak, right?
Right.
Figure out where I was going to go, what I wanted to do. I love education, and Monmouth has a fantastic MBA program. So I went to night school, did that for 3 years, got my MBA, learned a little bit more, and really developed as a professional. So
Right.
I had a good time at Monmouth. It wasn't the same party experience, obviously,
Right.
as Syracuse. But it was more for good education, so
That's
it was
cool.
great.
So were you already in the insurance business when you were going to Monmouth?
No.
What were you doing at that time?
So, when I went to Monmouth, I was kind of teetering on a few different things. So I got my real estate licenses. I was trying to get into real estate. I was working in the family business. I was also got my insurance licenses. So I got all these licenses trying to figure out what I was going to do and how I was going to do it.
Right.
And that was, in grad school. But grad school was a couple of years post undergrad. So I did the work life thing in corporate America, did the corporate job. It wasn't for me. I was always, I'm better than this, and
What were you
learned the
doing?
hard way that I really wasn't better than that. I just had the mindset of, one of those so-called millennials, and, I think I'm on the upper age and, of the millennial set,
Right.
can always do it better. And, and now 15 years later, I can do it better, and I do it better. But
Right.
back then, I worked in hospitality. I worked for a big chemicals corporation, and we sold chemicals and product to hospitality, to restaurants.
Right.
So there were some nights and weekends where I would get a phone call and have to go to work at 10 o'clock on a Friday. I'm like, screw this. This
Right.
isn't really what I want to do with my life. And, when you had those on weekends and when someone's dishwasher broke and they needed new chemicals because they couldn't put clean glasses on the table at the
Right.
restaurant, you kind of had to, to step up and help them get through it.
Yeah.
Right. That's like the not glamorous side of the hospitality business, right?
Yeah, it was definitely not glamorous, but you know, it's a big company, good paycheck. You know, I learned a lot being there.
Right.
You know, and I also learned that I had to figure some things out, as many people do.
So then you already had your insurance license, and then what kind of led you into opening your own office?
So it was 2008 is when I started selling insurance. I was getting out of real estate as the market was going in the opposite direction. I wasn't doing great with real estate. I worked in some residential. I did some commercial, and you know, things weren't working out very well for me. So I kind of switched and said, okay, insurance is needed in every economy, good, bad, ugly. Insurance and liquor are the two constants in life, right? And taxes, I guess. But I wasn't going to work for the government. So I started, you know, selling insurance part-time. And then one day I said, you know what, I can do this full-time. And I can do it on my own. Here I go doing things on my own again.
Right.
And so I rented an office in Long Branch on Brighton Avenue. And I had no furniture. I had no customers.
Right.
I had rent to pay. My parents were great. They were able to help me out a little bit to get started. And then, you know, I went out selling and trying to figure out how to get insurance companies to represent and who was going to trust me to sell their product. You know, there was a lot more that went into it that I didn't have a plan for.
Right.
That I just kind of, I'm a doer. I'm not a planner. So
Right.
I like to just go at it. If I want something, I'm going to go for it. And that's what I did. So I had to choose between paying the electric bill and paying the phone bill.
Right.
You know, I always paid the rent. I didn't want to get evicted. That was my one constant. And, you know, I'd go out in West End, and some nights I would sleep under my desk because I would drink too much. There was no Uber back then, right?
Yeah.
So I'd wake up at 7 a.m. and I'm in my underwear on my computer, you know, working away, you know, trying to make deals and seeing where it can go. And, you know, that's when I was out slinging insurance.
Yeah.
And today, you know, we sell a lot of insurance.
Right.
But we're not slinging it like we used to. You know, my team acts on an extremely consultative basis. We want to work with people. We want to help people. We want to make sure we're doing the right thing as much as possible and at all times.
Yeah.
If people want to buy cheap, tell them to call Geico. We tell them to call other companies. You know, that they're just not good customer fits for us. We want people that are going to listen, are going to put packages together that make sense for them. You know, we're not saying we can't do things inexpensively,
Right.
but we're not going to make it cheap just to make it cheap, because then something happens, I get sued.
Right.
I don't want to get sued.
So what kind of insurance products do you offer?
So we do everything from personal insurance to business insurance. So we do a lot of home, auto, umbrella, boat type stuff. You know, and we'll do renters policies. We'll do things as inexpensive as $250 a year because that's how the business started. So I won't ever get away from my roots of, you know, helping anybody.
Right.
We do get involved in a lot of high net worth stuff. You know, multi-million-dollar homes and exotic cars and big boats and vacation homes and international homes. So we do quite a bit of that, which is exciting because that's really risk management for people with a lot of money, and it's unbelievable how much money's out there.
Right.
So that's fun, and then we also get involved on the business side, small to mid-sized business, restaurants, property owners, landlords, apartment buildings, retail shops. So you know, we like to help everybody. You know, professional insurance. We write. You know, we have a significant book of business around lawyers and their professional liability and cyber and employment practices. Our governor just signed that $15 an hour, bill to bring wages up.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, there's going to be some pushback on the small business community around that, and there can be some issues that business owners can get themselves stuck into. You know, wage and hour related things with all the new laws for paid sick leave and you know the new hourly wage. So, you know, we want to protect our business owners. And again, that's on a consultative type basis. Somebody calls us for a quote, we may do it, but, you know, we're not going to put our hearts into it. We're not going to put our effort into it unless they're willing to spend the time to sit with us so we understand their needs, they understand our requests, and, you know, we go through the problems that we know and see people are having. Like, you're going to call me and have a claim. I want to let you know that this claim is covered. You know, instead of telling you it's not going to be covered and later on you get mad at me and I have to play the I told you so game, which never works out well.
Yeah.
Because the customer is always right.
That's right.
You know, it comes back bad for everybody.
Right. So how did you grow your business from sitting in an office with no money, no furniture, everything like that. Because that's how my practice started. Also, I was in a room like I could touch both walls. I had a desk, a phone. It was a shared conference room, so it had a nice impression. Like you could meet clients in a conference room, but like it was, same thing as you. Like, all right, I got to earn my next month's rent first. Where's that coming from? So how long did that take you to kind of grind that out, and what was some of the keys to?
I mean, we're still grinding it out. I'm still, working every day to make sure we keep the phone ringing. We're doing social media, a lot of it. I enjoy social media. I'm trying to separate myself from the brand right now and let the brand stand on its own. That's why we have those 2 Instagram pages. My personal, which I'm trying to make more private, because that's really kid-based, which is tough. And then the professional, is really going to be towards the insurance side to let the brand stand on its own. But, it's one policy at a time and a lot of networking, out meeting people, not hiding behind the computer and really building my brand, within circles of influence around us. So this will take us to my family business. My family owns the WindMill restaurants. So I was able to use my dad's center of influence around the city of Long Branch and really be able to work off of people that my family knows to help get me started. And, and I've been able to grow out of that. While I still enjoy that, that's not what I always need anymore, but it was just being with people, getting involved in the chambers of commerce, getting involved with charities, getting involved in professional organizations. That's always been my way of growing my personal identity and growing the business and making sure we have enough money to pay the bills. Yep. Now we have a staff of 6 full-timers, and we have a lot of fun. We try to keep a low-key environment and have fun while we're doing it. So long as everybody does what they're doing, we're great. As long as they don't get any of those 1-star reviews on Google, we're fine.
That's right.
And if you're listening, no 1-star reviews.
Only five
stars.
5 stars.
That's right. So who started the WindMill? Was it your grandfather or your father?
Yeah, so in 76, it was my grandfather and my great uncle that bought the original windmill in West End.
Okay.
That was built in 63. My family bought it in 76. And so my dad right now and my aunt both run the business currently. Right. So it's been in the family for a long time.
That's insane. I mean, the WindMill, like, as soon as you mentioned the word when you got in here, like everyone's face lit up. And we're all like, man, because the WindMill is like a Jersey, Shore institution. Right. Absolutely. 100%. Everyone's got their windmill stories. Yeah. So Mike, you had a...
Yeah, so I was living by Monmouth University with my wife. Right. And she was pregnant with our first. And she had cravings for like salty foods. Right. And it was a winter storm. It was snowing out, and she decided that she really wants hot dogs and cheese fries. Right. So we just drove down 71 to Ocean Ave and ate the hot dogs on the boardwalk in the snow. Nice. And I got to find the picture somewhere, but I mean that right there like means it all. Yeah. She's never had it either. She's from Pennsylvania.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So that was
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like cheese fries.
My mouth's watering right now.
Yeah. I mean,
cheese fries are the best.
Everything's sweet. Cheese fries, the dogs, the burgers are awesome. My daughter likes the chicken tenders. So like for me, it was like high school. We'd bust out and buy cheese. You'd make like a windmill run down to the original location. Get your cheese fries. Bring one back for the teacher so she didn't write you up for being like late to class or something. And it would slide under the radar. And then like as older in life, sharing it with my daughter the first time was like, let's go. I got a place. We're going to go out to lunch today. We're going to sit up top, on top of the windmill. That's
awesome.
And have some lunch. So that's like her go-to spot. Like when she's like wants something special, I'm like, where do you want to go? She's like, Dad, can we go to windmill?
That's awesome.
So it's cool.
So my 3.5-year-old, she's a picky eater as I assume many 3.5-year-olds are. She's chicken fingers, mac and cheese, but she loves windmill hot dogs. So I'm like, when we're going in for her first hot dog when she was like 2, I'm like, I hope she really likes it because it's in her blood. And she did. And I'm like, yes, thank God. It's not one of those foods that she's going to be like, no, I don't want to eat that. But
you're like, all right, she is my daughter.
She is mine, yeah.
Whenever she's acting up, I'm always like, oh, let's go see Grandpops and let's go get a hot dog. Nice. Like she's all about it. So
that's cool.
She likes doing that. She's not into the cheese fries yet, but I have a feeling
they're going to come.
It'll grow on her.
Yeah.
It'll grow on her.
It is funny, right? Like my 4-year-old, she saw the cheese on the fry, and she's like freaking out. Like I'm like, dude, you don't even know what you're missing.
Yeah.
Like, it's crazy.
Ming,
you ever hit the windmill?
A 3 a.m. visit, right?
Yeah, Long Branch. They're open late on the weekends, and not a lot of places are. And sometimes, after a night of having fun, you really want a hot dog from the Windmill, fully loaded up, sauerkraut, everything. So yeah, thank you to you and your family for making this possible.
That's right.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
So-
I'm sure there's some late night shenanigans going on down there. Like, any crazy stories of like some absurd situation?
There's, one of the best stories that floats around is back in the old trade wind days, trade winds of Seabright. When Bruce would play up there, and he would come down to the Windmill, and so we somewhere in a trailer, who knows where, there is an old VHS tape that was a security camera footage.
Right.
There's Bruce Springsteen behind the grill serving hot dogs to customers.
way.
So
That's awesome.
That's one of the famous stories.
That's a good one.
There's always been shenanigans and parties in the parking lot and not so nice things that happen.
I'm sure.
Nothing good happens after midnight.
Right.
Yeah.
You learn that when you're in your late 30s.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
You don't know anything about that when you're in
That's
your 20s
true.
and still young and out and having fun late at night. But I remember there's one of my favorite stories about myself. When I was in my 20s, and we would be out partying, and regardless of where it was, and if it was at Trade Winds, we'd come, but everybody would wind up at the Windmill, and there was no Uber back then, so I don't know how we were getting around. I was blacked out, so I don't remember. So the next morning, I get a call from my dad. Jeff, fun last night? I'm like, what do you mean? So he gets this receipt because I put everything on, my tab, put it on account. I think I fed like 20 people one night at 2 o'clock in the morning, so I'm in there just
Cheese fries for everyone.
hot dogs for everyone.
That's fantastic.
Let my dad pay for it, but it's good. We had a lot of fun going to the
cool.
Windmill growing up,
That is sweet.
and still do. So it's great. It's a Jersey Shore tradition.
Absolutely. It really is.
Is that Caddy ambulance still around anymore?
Oh my God!
That
You're
thing
going
was
back
sweet.
to the Hearst days.
Yeah.
No, I don't think that's been running for 20
Really?
years.
Man, that thing was awesome. There was a time in my life that was like my dream ride. You know what I mean?
I think the brakes went on that one day, and someone was driving it down the street and couldn't stop.
Right.
Nobody got hurt. But yeah, it was one of those 1960s. It was a hearse. And,
It was a hearse.
had a light on it. It was an old ambulance. They
Right.
drove it in parades, and we threw candy out, and we were fun as kids. We had fun as kids.
Totally.
It was great.
So is your dad still active, like working at the business?
Yeah, no, he's definitely still active right now. So the North Long Branch location was just demolished. That was
Right.
200 Ocean Avenue. So we were there for 30 years.
Yep.
And so there's going to be condos going up there, high-end luxury townhouse style condos.
Right.
So we had to leave that location just a couple of months ago, and they're under construction in Ursula Plaza,
Right.
just north. So that should be opening. So right now he's busy, getting that store fit out, and hopefully within the next 4 weeks,
Nice.
we'll be slinging dogs again in North Long Branch.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Do you know anything about the science of how you guys cook hot dogs? Because I'm always curious. Like, we probably should go take a class down there.
Yeah.
But I've always wondered, like, what the temperature of the grill is, because it seems like some of the dogs are on there. Like, I don't know, how long do they go on? How long do they stay on? But they're always perfect.
There's a science there.
So
yeah.
there is a science to it, right? Low and slow is
Yeah.
what my grandfather used to say. So, at the beginning of the day, hot dogs go on at 10 o'clock in the morning,
All right.
but you don't sell your first hot dog till 11, right? So
Right.
it's really getting them warmed up and letting them cook from the inside out and really heating them up nicely.
Yeah.
My secret at home is the broiler. The broiler in your oven, if you buy a bag of dogs and take it home, put it in the broiler, they come out awesome. Or
Right.
obviously on your barbecue grill in the backyard. If you want it charred, turn up the heat. If you
Right.
don't, low and slow, let them cook, and that's when they really crisp up to
Yeah.
they blow up nicely. Now I'm hungry. I should have.
Yeah,
I
I'm
know.
starving right
Totally
now.
surprised.
I'm like, if this was going to be a windmill interview, I would have brought a grill and some hot dogs, and we would have been cooking.
That's all right. Maybe we can go to a location and do a little on-the-spot cooking.
There you go.
One time soon. That would be killer. So did you ever work at the Windmill as a kid?
I did. As a kid, I grew up working at the Windmill, cleaning tables,
Right.
taking orders, cooking fries. I've cooked thousands of orders of fries and thousands of hot dogs. I
Right.
put my time in, working at the Windmill. And even after college, after my corporate job, I did 2 years with the Windmill with my dad, trying to be on the more corporate side of things and helping build the business and,
Right.
and running it. And then I realized that, that's when it was time for a transition, and that's when I went back to grad school.
Right.
Was to try to, what can I do to better myself and make things, bigger, better, so to speak.
So when you I guess learning, growing up in that environment, is that why you always want to do something for yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I guess I grew up in an entrepreneurial household.
Right.
My grandfather and my dad and my aunt and everybody was, always in making business happen. And so that's what I learned growing up, and that's what I knew. And I knew I was always better off being the decision maker and being responsible for my own destiny, as opposed to, taking orders and working for somebody else.
Right.
And it's a struggle. It's fun, and now that, we have some success with my business, we're able to continue to make it better.
Right.
We're always trying to do better. We're always trying to level up. I heard this thing when it's resolution time 4 weeks ago. Does anybody have any resolutions anymore? But I heard this thing is you don't resolve, and I've never made resolutions, no New Year's resolutions. I've never done it. But I heard somebody, I don't remember who it was, but they said, this year I'm going to level up. And I'm like, that makes sense, because every year you do what you can to make yourself better.
Yeah.
Make your business better. Do better for your employees. Do better for your customers. So it's really just taking what we have from 2018 and leveling it up to make everything better for 2019, make more money, and make more customers happy.
Absolutely.
Right.
Now you're part of the board at the chamber, correct?
So I'm the immediate past president of the Greater Long Branch Chamber of Commerce. So
Okay.
I was president for 2 years, and I'm still part of the board, and I'll still stay a part of the board so long as they'll let me for the next period of time. But
Awesome.
I love being a part of that community, and I love working with the chamber and love working with small business. We put on some great events. We raise a lot of money for charity. I started a scholarship program with the Long Branch High School last year. So there's a lot of great moving parts in our immediate Long Branch and Greater Long Branch community that I love doing.
Yeah.
And along the Ocean Ave, I mean, it's continuously developing, right? So where do you see Long Branch going in the next few years?
Long Branch is great. I mean, it's a destination city. If you look at our beaches on any July Saturday, their beaches are packed. Parking is tough. Parking is tough. But I guess from Red Bank to Asbury Park to Point Pleasant, who cares? Parking is tough no matter what.
Yeah.
And that's where Uber really comes in. The ride sharing is going to be more critical, as we continue to develop. But, construction is good. I like construction. I like new. I like change. There's great residential projects. We've got the Whitechapel project just opened up in Long Branch.
Ming's a big fan.
Yeah, Ming's a early
gorgeous
adapter.
place. We'd been waiting for that place to
cool,
open
man.
for 6-7 years. They started working on it.
Right.
They said it was coming, and everyone's like, we throw our hands up, and now they're open, and it's so cool. So that's the first in the lower Broadway corridor,
Right.
off the ocean front, right? So you have West End is doing great. Broadway the Whitechapel is the first piece to come live off a lower Broadway.
Right.
Then you'll have more construction, more development going on. So I think it's all good things for the city of Long Branch. I think everything is good for this north end of the Jersey Shore.
Right.
Asbury Park is booming, and things even north into the Bay Shore are
Yeah.
developing. So I think we're in for a great next couple of years.
That's true. Yeah, it's crazy. People always talked about what's it going to take to start bringing people across the road, to the others from the ocean, and Whitechapel projects like that.
Yeah.
Maybe
That's
that
the
first
first one.
step. To
Yeah, I
start.
think so.
Yeah, that's a cool spot.
I know what I'm doing this weekend if the weather holds up. WindMill and then beer at Whitechapel. I'm set on that right now.
Dude, it's funny,
Swing by
it's
the
like-
office if you're there.
Yeah, I mean, Long Branch is like two of my all-time institutions are the Windmill and the Lighthouse. I mean,
Right.
beyond. I mean, those are two legendary Jersey Shore stops. It's killer.
Yeah, we ride our bikes to the lighthouse. My daughter, will get on the bike and we'll pedal over there. We live in Monmouth Beach, so we ride right over and get our ice cream and then ride right back. It's
Right.
great. So
That
the
is
things
cool.
that I grew up doing, I get to share with my kids, which is, I guess that's what it's supposed to be about.
Right.
Yeah.
It's true.
It's not about me anymore.
Right.
I get me time between Monday and Friday
Right.
is my me time. One of the groups that I belong to, somebody posted this thing. How do you recharge on weekends? And my comment was, I recharge Monday through Friday.
Right.
Yeah.
Totally.
It's Saturday and Sunday when we have no childcare help that I get abused and beat up and don't sleep enough.
Yeah.
True.
It's like when I get to the office on Monday, I can put my feet up and put my laptop on my lap and get to work. That's recharging for me.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true, man. So you're also a director at Fulfill, which people would used to know as the food bank of Monmouth and Ocean counties.
Yeah, I'm a newly appointed director on the board there for Fulfill. It's an amazing organization. Last year, 13 million meals were distributed between their different partners. Over 130,000 people were fed. 13 million meals were distributed. We have 300 partners, other food pantries that we help out, that we assist with throughout Monmouth and Ocean counties. So it's an amazing organization, and it's sad how much food insecurity there is around our counties, and how many children, leave school on Friday afternoon and don't have enough to eat until they get to school on Monday for breakfast.
Right.
So those free breakfasts, and there's backpack programs that we have where kids will take backpacks of food home on the weekends so that they have food in their house. So the food bank does some terrific things, and so we have our gala coming up, which is one of our signature events. That's on March 15th, and this year we're honoring Chris Sullins from Central Reach, and then also Ray and Elsie Katina from the Ray Katina family group of automotive dealerships.
Right.
So we have some terrific honorees this year. We're hoping and looking to raise about $400,000 at the gala this year to be able to then put towards getting those meals out to those that need it.
Where's that? March 15th. Where's that being held?
So that's at the Sheraton, the Grand Ballroom, as it's now called, the newly renovated Sheraton in Eatontown.
Right.
Okay.
So we have the whole ballroom space. So there should be, between 250 and 300 people there in attendance to celebrate the honorees. And make donations to the food bank. We run at a very low operating expense percentage. So the food bank is very proud of keeping the expenses low, because it's really all about those that we serve.
Right.
So it's great to be on that board now.
Is there a site people can donate online for the food bank?
Yeah, I think it's fulfill.org, but I'll get you the full link so that we can share it socially.
Right.
That would be great. And if anybody wants to attend the gala, if you know Ray and Elsie personally, come join us and bring your checkbook.
That's cool. I feel like Bruce and John Bon Jovi have done a lot for the food bank over the years, right? Didn't Bruce used to do an annual concert?
Yeah, they've all done different things. I don't know exactly what. I know obviously John Bon Jovi does a lot with what's his
restaurant, right?
In Red Bank.
the one in Red. What's that
Yeah.
call? I can't think of it.
It's the barbecue. or
It's the Soul Kitchen.
The Soul
Soul
Kitchen.
Kitchen,
Yeah.
yeah.
So he's got that, and he does a lot of work. So it's great that these guys are very strong locally and helping out in whatever way they can.
I mean, that's it's almost surprising some of the numbers you say about like the number of kids that like have trouble with needing meals, or the number of meals you guys even deliver, because obviously there's a lot of affluence in the area, but at the same time there's a lot of need in the area.
Right.
So I think it's important that people understand that. And,
Yeah.
Yeah, and so if we go back to the windmill again, so my cousin 4 or 5 years ago did this program called 10,000 Hot Dogs,
Right.
where it was a food bank related fundraiser, where we had Southside Johnny and the Asbury Jukes play on the roof of the windmill in West End.
Oh, nice.
They did a concert in our parking lot.
Right.
The police didn't know about it till very close to the date, so there was a little uproar in the city. But we had 2,000 people in the parking lot in West End.
That's sweet.
Wow.
for a Southside Johnny concert.
Right.
To raise money. It was to donate 10,000 hot dogs, buy 10,000 hot dogs, and our manufacturer Sabret also stepped up and donated actual hot dogs to the food bank.
Right.
So we hit the $10,000 goal, and it was a cool event. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
That is really cool. Nice. So what do you? So you leveled up this year.
Leveling.
You're leveling up. That's right. What do you got on tap for the rest of the year? Any highlights? Anything you're looking forward to?
Oh man, highlights. Well, I turned 39, so I've actually been I'm skipping a year. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna be 40 in a year and a half.
Listen,
I'm like,
man, I don't want to hear any of your grievances about that shit. I barely remember being 39.
I'm like, I want to do something cool for my 40th. I'm like, what can I do? What can I do? So I'm like thinking, I'm skipping ahead a year in my personal life. The baby in my house is 8 months old.
Right.
So we're trying to figure out some small trips and get Elle on skis and try to do some skiing, make some beach trips, and spend some good time at the beach this summer. Really keep it local until the baby's old enough to start traveling, and then we'll figure out some other cool stuff. But we love hanging locally and going to the beach and being with friends and family and doing that. So
That's cool.
Nothing too exciting. No Europe, none of that cool stuff.
It's funny, though, you walk around the beaches here and you realize, like, you live at a destination location. You know what I mean? Like, people come vacation here, and we're lucky.
Yeah, I mean, come summertime in my office, we're shorts and flip flops. Nice. Like, if someone shows up in a suit, I tell them to take their tie off. Like, we're not having it.
Yeah, get out of here.
We're at the Jersey Shore, and I go to meetings in shorts and t-shirts, and I'm not mad at it. And some people are like, "You're going to a meeting dressed like that?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm going to a meeting dressed like that."
Right.
If somebody doesn't like it, so be it. If I've got to go to New York for a day, maybe I put a suit on.
Yeah.
But around here, I'm good and comfortable. And if we have no shoes on in the office, we're all cool with it.
That's right. As long as your personal hygiene's in order.
Well, we don't have to go there.
Feel free to take your shoes off. That's cool. All right, you got anything else there, Mike?
Yeah, I think we covered the mullet side.
We did cover the mullet side.
So usually, the more we do this, we're learning that people kind of live the mullet lifestyle.
Yeah.
It's a blend of personal, work, interest, hobbies. So it sounds like everything's good.
For sure. The only thing that we didn't touch on with you, which I don't even understand. We had a guest recently who was the same thing, but you're a former Ironman competitor.
Oh man,
or maybe
that was
you're
40
a current
pounds ago.
Yeah. How do you do like your first Ironman? Like I check out, like, you try to go on a run. Like, I'm so in my head. I'm like, this sucks. Must stop. So I don't know how you run that far.
Oh man! So recently, I got motivated a couple weeks ago, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna wake up and I'm gonna go for a run.
Right.
So at 5 o'clock in the morning, I get downstairs. I don't wake anybody up. Life is good. Then I, call over to Google and say, hey Google, what's the weather out? She's like, oh, it's 29 degrees, and I'm like, oh, that's not happening.
Right.
So I'm like, well, we'll save it for when the weather's in the 40s and I can start sneaking out, maybe try to run again. But yeah, Ironman was and triathlon. Was a big part of my life. Yeah. Pre-wife, pre-children. I had a lot of fun racing triathlon. A lot of fun racing. So I did my first Ironman in Florida. I've only done one full Ironman. Wow. Be clear with that. I've done several half Ironmans. Right. One full. I ran the New York City Marathon one year.
That's cool.
So that was a blast. I mean, talk about exciting. If you're a runner, that's the penultimate. That's really where you want to get and really enjoy New York City on foot for 26.2 miles of pain.
That's insane.
And suffering. I mean, have you run that? You're a runner.
I've not done New York yet, but I've completed 5 in my life.
Have you really?
Yeah, but one day, maybe this year. Who knows?
You go.
Level up.
You can
go, Ming.
You can run with the microphone. You can really, get 26.2 miles of you huffing and puffing.
First dude to podcast the full. That would be sweet.
But Evan, that means you're holding the camera for 26 miles.
Exactly.
So everybody's got a level.
I'll have one of those mullet headband things with a camera mounted to it.
That'd be awesome.
Pretty sweet.
But I started running when I was 25. Really starting getting into it.
Right.
And was running with a club and a group, and got into racing a little bit and cycling. And I always loved swimming and started doing sprint triathlons in Long Branch. When they were put on once a month, there was a race going on that Doug Rice used to put on from Split Second Racing. So once a month there was a race. You timed yourself. We had a lot of fun, and then it evolved from there. And then I started getting into some longer distance stuff. And but I remember, I was training 20 hours a week.
Wow.
At my peak, and one bike ride I went on, I started in Long Branch, went to the end of Sandy Hook, back to Long Branch, to the end of Island Beach State Park, and back to Long Branch.
No way.
Wow. So it was 106 miles that day.
Insane.
So I spent 6 hours on my bike.
Right.
Wow.
So I can't do that now. I don't think I'd get away with it.
But it's got to be a beautiful ride, right?
It was
killer.
a great ride. It wasn't during peak season, so we didn't have many traffic issues. And it was cool. It was a cool experience to get from point to point, of this Jersey Shore area. So to see it all and make it without too much incident was pretty cool.
That's very cool.
so I was training 20 hours a week, and it was a lot. I was in great shape. I was strong. I could do anything. I could eat a rack of ribs and then go for a run. Like, nothing bothered me. Now
Wash down cheese fries.
Now I'm 40 pounds heavier, and that doesn't all go over so well.
Right. That's true.
I start huffing and puffing, walking upstairs. I'm like, this isn't good. And gotta get it. And then my daughter, the other morning, she called me and she came up with a new nickname for me. She called me the stomach. And I'm like, that's not nice. I'm like, all right, if there's a tipping point, if there's ever a tipping point in life, like I think that was my tipping point, to get things back in order before it's bad.
That's a great superhero name.
That's when you start chasing her around. The stomach.
My wife is hysterically laughing in the other room. When she hears this.
That's awesome.
I'm like, laugh it up. It's okay.
Yeah.
It is what it is.
That's right.
Just don't tell your friends. I don't want your friends calling you that. Then I'll get upset. You can do it for now, but we gotta draw a boundary. But Ironman was fun. That was in Florida. There's 12 hours and 57 minutes of swimming, biking, and running, and
wow.
Then I couldn't walk. I actually had a stress fracture in my right fibula, and so it hurt when I was trying to run. So I wound up walking a lot. And when I got done racing, my knee was about 5 times the normal size.
Wow.
So I was in a lot of pain, but I was done.
Right.
I finished. It wasn't one of those things where I was gonna, okay, I don't feel well, everything hurts, I'm gonna stop and try again another time.
Yeah.
It was,
It's
I'm
now or
gonna
never.
finish. I'm gonna do whatever it takes, to cross that finish line and to do it within a reasonable amount of time.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was able to do it. The reason I stopped racing, I had some life changes. I wanted to, I met my wife at the time, and we were running together a lot, and we still, we'll get back into running again now that the baby's starting to be old enough.
Mm-hmm.
I had 2 accidents on my bike.
Oh, really?
I got hit by 2 cars.
No way.
And I know plenty of people, I know people that have lost their lives,
Right.
On their bikes, and it became scary to be out on the road. Cyclists have to be extremely careful, obey the road laws, but then we get a lot of crazy people driving around here.
Totally.
Especially in season. But one of my accidents, one time I got up and shook it off and was fine. The police came, and it was a 17-year-old. I felt bad for her.
Right.
And I'm the one that got hit. I actually flipped over her car, is what happened.
Right.
Because I was able to stop as she was like turning into me, and I went over her car and scraped myself up, and that was fine. Another time I went head first into a car that cut me off in Belmar on Ocean Avenue, and I got put into an ambulance. And then the police, when I go to pick up the police report said it was my fault because I was speeding on my bike. I'm like, what? I'm like, did you have a radar gun on me?
Yeah,
because
right.
I'm curious. I really want to know how fast I was going, because when you're cycling, you're like, how fast can I go?
Right.
But yeah, no, I got put into an ambulance, and it was my fault, and
Wow.
it really wasn't. But
Right.
I had the New York City Triathlon 2 weeks later. I'm like, all right, do I want to play this out? Do I want to go get a lawyer and do that game and, fake an injury, even though I was hurt, I wasn't severely hurt, thank God. My
Right.
helmet cracked in 6 pieces. It saved my
Wow.
life.
Wow.
And I'm like, but the New York City Triathlon's in 2 weeks. If I go race that, no lawyer's going to take my case.
Right.
Screw it. I'm going to race, Like, I was hardcore at that time. I wanted to race. I wanted to be on my bike. It wasn't that hurt, and I'm not going to,
Right.
they're going to have enough issues with their own insurance company when it comes down to the fact that they had an accident with a cyclist.
Right.
So
That's true.
we'll be fine with that, and I went about my business.
That's cool. Yeah, it's funny when you mentioned that. Like Belmar is the first place that popped in my head because it's it's wild down there with the amount of cars and everything in the summer.
Yeah. Yeah, I know plenty of people that have had accidents, down in that area, and train tracks are also bad when they're wet, and so it's not so nice. But we bought a Peloton, one of those Peloton bikes
cool.
a couple of years ago.
Right.
I love riding on it, So I don't even go on. I have 2 road bikes, 2 nice bikes in my garage that I don't use, because if I'm gonna ride, I get on the Peloton, and
Right.
I'll get my hour in on the bike there.
That's cool.
It's a lot of fun.
Yep. Awesome. All right, Aaron. Thanks for coming in.
Thanks,
Thank you
guys.
so much.
Quick shout out though. You brought us some swag. Thank you. We got LG Insurance Agency T-shirt, I believe. Do you want to give your sister's bakery a shout out?
Oh man, my sister Amy, her bakery Taste the Cakes in Freehold on South Street. So what you guys got is a hot chocolate on a stick. It's
Nice.
It's amazing. You can eat the chocolate, or you can like boil some milk and then put it in the milk and turn it into hot chocolate.
That sounds awesome.
But and the marshmallows are really good too. So yeah.
And we're going.
And a free hot dog.
And a free hot dog.
There we go.
Couldn't go without it.
Thank you so much.
We gotta
Thanks,
get
guys.
down there quick. We definitely do want to. If you can put us in touch with the right people, I envision myself with a apron and cooking some dogs sometime soon. So I'd like to hook that up. That would be awesome. Check out Aaron online. His company Instagram is Luxury Group INS, and personal at the Aaron Levine. On Facebook, you can find LG Insurance Inc. Check out Fulfill again. They got a gala coming up on the 15th. That's the former food bank of Monmouth and Ocean counties. And donate to them online. Aaron, thanks for coming in. I'm Evan Balmer. Find me on Instagram at Evan Balmer.
Mike Mercia, you can find me at mortgageguy_Mike, and you can find the MulletCast on Facebook at the MulletCast.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks a lot.
This was a blast.
Appreciate it.